Hi. So I've got one of my giant road trips coming up tomorrow. The whole length of Finland I have to do. It's 1,000, well, I'll show you on the map. It is 1,340 kilometers. So right now I'm in a town called Utsjoki at the end of the E75 main highway that goes right through Finland. So right at the top on the border with Norway, Finnmark and Norway. So I have to go the whole way down to where I live in the Finnish archipelago. Beautiful place. I live in the two best places in Finland. It's great. But it's a long ass drive. So I thought I'm not going to say like I'm a veteran EVer. I'm not. I've only had an EV for like a couple of years. But I do these long drives a lot in all weathers. I think I probably drive the most in an EV, like big distances. So I'll show you what I do, because there's all my trips are usually fine. I never have any troubles. It's all smooth sailing right the way through Finland, even though the charging infrastructure is a bit lacking, let's say. If you plan accordingly, and you have sort of contingency plans just in case, you should have no problems. If you don't plan, you can have problems. So what I do, check the route, check the distances between charges, check the weather, and probably most importantly is check the wind direction. In an EV, the wind plays a massive part. If you have a headwind, you're going to use a lot more battery energy going against that headwind. If you got a tailwind, it's amazing. You get great consumption, and you'll go further. So you have to sort of plan your trip, especially like in northern Finland, where the charges are so far apart. Like my first leg here, I'll show you on PlugShare. Look at the charging situation in the north of Finland. It is diabolical. It is non-existent. That is just a joke. It really is. Look at Norway. You can go all over to like the most remotest part of Norway, and you will find a rapid charger, a CCS charger, and I bet a lot of them are probably 150 kilowatt chargers as well. Cross the border into Finland, and it is a desert of chargers. It's just the charging network is non-existent in the north of Finland. There's none. There's no rapid chargers. So that's what we have to contend with. I can complain a little bit about it. It sucks. It shouldn't be this bad. It's 2021. Come on, put some flipping charges in already. I can complain about it, but it's not going to change anything. So we have to work with what we've got. So let's see, the first leg I'm going to do tomorrow morning. I'm going to leave at 9 on this big trip. So the first leg is 323 kilometers, 3 hours 50 minutes. That is, I can just about get that. If the weather and wind conditions are okay, I will just about get 323 kilometers to the first charger, and that charger is only 30 kilowatt CCS charger, but it's free, so I'm not going to complain about free charger. And even if I had to pay for it, I would happily pay for it, because if that wasn't there, this trip would be a flipping nightmare. Look, I can just about make it to this charger. If that wasn't there, I'd be screwed. So if that wasn't there in that instance, I would have to hotel probably in Sodankula and charge up overnight and then start again the next day. So it would take like three days to get do the whole thing. I'm gonna do it in 2 days. I'll do half of Finland in 1 day. So I'll get down to like Oulu. I'll get down to like here on the first day, and then on day 2 I shall do the rest and get home in time for tea with any luck. So the first leg, 323 kilometers, and then I'll charge for like 45 minutes on this 30 kilowatt charger, because the next leg is very short. It's only 126 kilometers to Rovaniemi, the city market, which is a 50 kilowatt charger. So I don't need to stay in Sodankula that long. I don't need to charge to 80% on the 30 kilowatt chargers. So I'll charge until I've got 160 kilometers of range. I always like to have about 30 or 40 kilometers extra, just in case the weather turns or the snow on the road or whatever, the headwind, or things can go wrong fast. Always have a healthy buffer in reserve when you're doing these trips. Trust me, I've learned the hard way. So I'll charge to about 160 kilometers at this charger, which shouldn't take too long. And then I'll go to Rovaniemi, and then I'll do a charge to 80% there, and then Rovaniemi to the Kempele hypercharger in McDonald's, which is just a brilliant charger, 225 kilowatts. In the e-niro, very slow charging car. Well, not very slow, but it's not fast. It charges at 77 kilowatts maximum speed, I think. I've never seen any more than that anyway. So these chargers, 225 kilowatt chargers, like I don't utilize them to their full extent. I get 77 and I only get that for like 20 minutes. But it's nice, like it's the 50 kilowatt chargers, they're mostly all over the place, they're everywhere. So it is nice charging at like faster than 50 kilowatts. It doesn't save a massive amount of time, but it does save a little bit. It can save like 10 minutes sitting at a charger. But it's just nice charging faster. It feels better. So I prefer, even though I don't have a car that can charge at 150 or 200 kilowatts, I'm happy in my little e-niro charging at 77. And if I hammer it, I'm gonna have to take it really easy. On this first leg, I'm gonna have to do like 90 kilometers per hour the whole way, very gentle, eco driving. But I'm gonna have to pull out all the tricks to make this 323 kilometers. Because I don't want to get there with 1%. I don't want to get range anxiety when I'm a little bit away from it. I always like to get to my destinations with 10%. I don't like to go below 10%, especially in winter. Strange things can happen to batteries when you get low state of charge. Even on like 2 or 3%, they can just turn off. Like I've had it happen. Not in the e-niro, but in the I-Pace, I've had it die on like 2% before. So I don't like going below like 10%. 9% okay, 8% is probably okay, but that's really, I'm not comfortable going below that. I've ran them to turtle mode plenty of times, so I've done it, got the t-shirt, but now no thanks. I want a nice, easy, stress-free drive, because it's a long drive right through the country, so I don't want to be stressed out. I want a nice drive. So I want to get to all my charges no lower than 10% state of charge, so it's not stressful. So I'm going to have to do that as gently as I can. Then reasonably gently to the 50 kilowatt charger in Rovaniemi, but then once I get to there, I can hammer it. Once I do a charge to 80%, I don't have to drive gently anymore, because there's plenty of CCS chargers from there on in, and all the roads are like 100 kilometers per hour. So I can hammer it, and then when I get to this charger, I might not even actually use this 225 kilowatt charger, because I'm gonna stay at the hotel, which is over the road. I stay at this hotel, Fornum Apart Hotel in Kampela. It's a nice hotel, and it's cheap, and it's right next to the motorway. So that's usually my go-to hotel, like halfway up Finland. So that it will take like an hour, but it will make day 2 easier if I start at 100%. If I charge to 80% on this, like I've lost 20% then. So if I stay in a hotel and I can charge on an AC charger, like on my 11 kilowatt AC onboard charger, I start day 2 at 100%, and possibly with a bit of heat in the battery. If I charge up before bed here on a CCS charger, the battery will be freezing the next morning, because I'll have to park the car not plugged in. So the battery will be like -10 or whatever the next morning. If I go to, there's this place here, Oulun Sudun Sähkö. It's like an electricity company, and they have free AC chargers you can charge at. So if I go here and then walk back to the hotel, there's a path. I do this often. There's a path. You go along here, and then through a couple of subways here, back to the hotel. So I have to do that walk in the morning when I wake up, but it's not far. It's only a couple of kilometers. Then the car, there should be a bit of heat in the battery of the car, because it will have been charging at 11 kilowatts all night, and I'll be at 100% state of charge in the morning. So I'll have like a full 330 or 340 kilometers of range then on day 2. So that's my plan. I don't think I'll use the McDonald's hypercharger. We'll see. If this hotel's not available and I can't stay in this Kampela, then I will use the hypercharger and go further and stop somewhere else. So I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Then the next day, so if I start there with 100%, I can should be able to make it to Jyväskylä in one go. 326 kilometers of driving, 3 hours 44 minutes. Theoretically, that's possible in one go, so I will try that. There's quite a few CCS charges on that route. So if I'm not going to make it, or it's looking too close for comfort, I can bail out. There's quite a few CCS chargers. That one's quite new. Yeah. So I'll try that in one go, and if not, I might bail out. Maybe Äänekoski. But if I start from 100% in Kampela, I should be able to make that, as long as I don't drive too crazy and the weather's not too bad. And then the next leg, if I charge to 80% at the McDonald's, so that's a McDonald's in Jyväskylä. There's another 225 kilowatt hypercharger. So I'll charge it. I go in the McDonald's and have something to eat while the car is charging. Then it's the home straight, but it's 349 kilometers. So I'm not going to make that in one go. So I'll have to stop somewhere quite close to home. Probably Aura. There's a CCS charger in Aura. So I'll need like 15 minutes there, and then I can hammer it the rest of the way home. So that's theoretically all of that should work perfectly. So let's check the wind situation. So this is how I plan all my long road trips. They're all the distances I can do. I know it's possible if the weather conditions are favourable. Well, not favourable, just not crap. If the weather's okay, I should make all these runs. So we check the wind and see how it's going to be. So this is tomorrow at 8 a.m. As I am heading down Finland, I don't want a wind from the south, because that will be a headwind and that will be bad. As luck would have it, the wind tomorrow is blowing from the north to the south. So it's going to be on my back. So it's going to help with my efficiency. Not a great deal, because there's barely any wind. So it's a very small, 4 kilometers per hour. It's a very small tailwind, but that's nice, because if it was a headwind, I wouldn't make that first run. If it was blowing from south to north, I wouldn't make that 323 kilometers. I'd have to stop probably in Ivalo or e-niro or Ivalo, and on a slow charger, and to get a bit extra, and then continue. So I'd probably lose an hour on a slow charger, and then I'd have to go. But as tomorrow, the wind looks good, the weather is meant to be clear. It's going to be coldish. It's going to be like -15, but I can have the heating turned off in the car the whole way. I've got the Webasto diesel heater, so I'll have the car heating turned off. So most of my energy, 97 or 98% of all my energy usage will be on moving the car. It will be on driving, not heating. So I should have that in the bank, 323 kilometers. So it's a nice tailwind. Well, it's not really a tailwind. It's actually blowing like from northeast to southwest. And then, well, let's see how the wind changes throughout the day. So the 2 p.m. Yep. So at 2 p.m. I will be around Rovaniemi, and then Rovaniemi to Kemi, I've got a perfect tailwind. 8 kilometers per hour. It's not strong, but so if I've got cruise set to 90 with a 9 kilometer per hour tailwind, it's like I'm doing 81. So I'm going to basically get the efficiency of like doing 81 kilometers per hour, even though I'm doing 90. So that's nice. So in fact, I'll do 100. Because I'll basically be getting like efficiency of doing 90-ish, so I can do 100 then, and it won't hurt my consumption too bad. And then so then I will stop just south of Oulu on day 1. So let's check the wind on day 2. Okay, 9 a.m. on day 2. Also blowing from the north. Wow, this is going to be... it's turning into a headwind when you get near Tampere. But that's okay. So it's not a strong headwind. 1 kilometers per hour. That's basically like no wind. Yeah, so we've got a tailwind on day 2 when we go from Oulu to Jyväskylä. Yeah, so the wind's not gonna really have an impact on us. So it's all looking good. So the car is charging now. So I'll leave Utsjoki tomorrow with 100% state of charge, and I'll try and get to this Utsjoki in one go. Hopefully it does it. So I'm going to upload this planning video now. and then you won't know if I've made it or if I've had any problems for another couple of days, because I'm going to get home and then I'm going to I'll get some video of the whole trip. So when I'm driving down tomorrow and charging, I'll do videos of like the consumption and the road and the weather, and a couple of videos of driving and that. So this will be a 3-part sort of series. So this is part 1, the planning stage. And then day 2. So day 1 tomorrow, driving, that will be part 2, and then day 2 of driving will be part 3. So it's a bit of a long series, but if you want to know how it is driving from the very top of Finland to the very bottom of Finland, here you go. This is how it's done. I won't sugarcoat it. If anything goes wrong, I'll record what went wrong, and you kind of learn from your mistakes. And I've done this drive so often in the Jaguar I-Pace. I've done it. I even done it. I used to do it pulling a trailer sometimes in the Jaguar I-Pace. Oh, that was hard work. And when I first used to do this trip, there was no charges at McDonald's. There was no charges at the supermarkets, like at the K-Lat house didn't exist. It was a real. There was like a few charges on the way, and if one of them was out of action, you were screwed. You were big time screwed. Fortunately, they were always functional and working, so I never had a bad situation in that sense. I did have to pull up to some guy's house once and ask, could I plug into his house for electricity? Because I've got portable chargers, so I've got, if the worst ever happens, I always have a portable charger in the car that I can just plug in to a 400 volt industrial socket, which most houses have in Finland. So as long as the person's okay, you know, if I ever run out of juice, but you know you're gonna run out of juice. You've got your range computers telling you've got 10 kilometers left. If you're 40 kilometers away from a charger, you know you're not gonna make it. So don't try and run out of electricity on the road. That's a stupid thing to do. If you know you're not gonna make it, start looking at your options. Like, see if there's like a holiday village or a hotel or a garage or something that you could go and ask, could you plug in? And in the worst case scenario, just go to someone's house. You know, people are nice. They're not going to bite your head off. If you go up and say, can I just plug in for an hour, please? They'll be like, yeah, sure. And if they got a problem with it, you can just give them 10 euros or something. Like, I didn't have to. The guy found it funny that I had to plug into his house. But I did come back later with some chocolate and stuff. I went to Santa Claus Village in Rovaniemi, and I got them some presents, and I dropped them some presents off. But they found it funny that I had to plug in. But these things can happen. I thought I had enough range, but I was pulling a trailer. It was raining like crazy. I had a headwind. Everything went against me, and I couldn't make it to the charger, and I was 40 kilometers away. So that's what you got to do. These things happen. So hopefully none of that happens tomorrow. It hasn't happened in a while. I've been pretty good the last year or so with planning everything, and no, there's been no incidents whatsoever. Everything has gone smoothly. I always leave a little bit in reserve now. I always leave a bit in a buffer. So if a charge is out of action, I could make it to the next one. Can't really do that in Lapland. Like, if I go to this SEO garage tomorrow and it's out of action, then I'm screwed. There's no two ways about it. I am screwed. But there is a couple slow charges in Lapland, so worst case scenario, I have to plug into a slow charger for 3 or 4 hours, and I'll just put the seats down and have a nap in the car, which is what I used to do in the I-Pace before that Sodankula charger was there, that fast charger was ever there. So that's all. So wish me luck, and I will be back in a couple of days and give you the update how it went. Hopefully it went perfect. And this is how you do a massive road trip from the top of Finland to the bottom in the middle of winter in serious cold with studded tyres on. It just makes it a little bit easier that I've got that diesel heater. That does make it a bit easier. It does take a hit to the range when you've got the car heating on, the heat pump. So I shouldn't need to have the car heating on in this whole 1,340 kilometers or whatever it is. I shouldn't need to turn the heating on in the car once, because I've got that diesel heater that's in the boot in the back of the car that blows the warm air to the front of the car through a pipe. So that should provide enough heat for me. Anyway, that's all for now. Speak to you in a few days. Bye bye.